Viridian is a world of ethereal beauty, a planet adorned with green oceans and shimmering skies that shift in color as the two suns pass overhead. For millennia, it has been home to the Zytherians, an advanced civilization whose cultural ethos revolves around order, harmony, and technological precision. Their sprawling cities are architectural marvels, sleek, towering structures with crystalline spires that catch the light, casting a serene glow over a land meticulously engineered for comfort and safety. For the Zytherians, life is a pursuit of knowledge in controlled environments, where every threat has been subdued by their advancements in technology. Viridian's ecosystems are carefully managed, its wild areas fenced off, observed only through screens and analysis. To the Zytherians, danger and adversity are relics of a primitive past. They pride themselves on having outgrown the need for survival instincts, viewing physical challenges as outdated, even barbaric. But not everything on Viridian is tame. Beyond the safe boundaries of their civilization lies an expanse of untouched wilderness, the lethal zone. This region is unlike anything else on Viridian. It's a vast jungle filled with vicious, poisonous flora, aggressive wildlife, and volatile weather that shifts unpredictably. There are quicksand bogs, flash floods, and lightning storms that strike without warning. Few dare enter the lethal zone, and even fewer survive without the Zytherians' most advanced protective technology. For the Zytherians, the lethal zone is both a mystery and a scientific playground. Here, they test their highest-grade environmental suits, deploy high-tech drones, and train their artificial intelligence to navigate hostile ecosystems. The jungle's dangers allow them to validate their technology, but they experience it only at a distance, from the safety of their observation rooms. For them, stepping into such an environment without shields, armor, and suits would be unthinkable, akin to a death wish. But today, an unusual request has reached their council chambers. A human explorer, Captain Liana Drake, wants to enter the lethal zone. And she wants to do it alone, without a suit. The Zytherians are a species defined by intellectual advancement and tranquility, having evolved in a world where nature itself seems to bow to their control. Their civilization is built on principles of stability and refinement, with generations devoted to eliminating risk and discomfort from their lives. In their eyes, their high technology isn't just a luxury but proof of their superiority, a testament to how far they've come from the primal instincts of survival. They regard themselves as the pinnacle of enlightened life in the galaxy. Physical endurance, bravery, and survival instincts are, to them, remnants of a primitive past that sophisticated beings have outgrown. Where other species rely on strength or raw adaptability, Zytherians rely solely on intellect, their feats of engineering and science effortlessly reshaping the world to their needs. When humans first emerged onto the galactic stage, the Zytherians found them both fascinating and unsettling. Humanity hails from a so-called Deathworld filled with raging seas, deserts, freezing tundras, and predators that would make most Zytherians shudder. The stories about Earth's earthquakes, tsunamis, volcanoes, and carnivorous creatures spread through Zytherian society, casting humans as reckless and brash, unable or unwilling to insulate themselves from constant danger. To the Zytherians, such a lifestyle is nearly incomprehensible and deeply disturbing. Some Zytherians see humans as uncivilized, barbaric even. Why endure such harsh conditions if they could simply build the technology to avoid them? Yet, others are intrigued. Humans, despite their apparent frailty, show a level of adaptability and resilience that makes even the most jaded Zytherians pause. Their evolution in such an unforgiving environment has made humans tenacious and resourceful, traits that some in Zytherian society, like the scientist Thrixius, find endlessly fascinating. Thrixius, who has studied humanity's survival stories for years, sees humans not as crude beings but as living puzzles. He's observed that humans thrive in extremes, even embracing them, and that something about their mindset allows them to view adversity as a challenge rather than a barrier. To Thrixius, humans are an enigma, one that could reveal a new understanding of strength and adaptability. So when Captain Liana Drake proposes her venture into the lethal zone, Thrixius is among the few who sees it as an opportunity for a deeper insight into what it means to be a Deathworlder. In the gleaming council chamber of the Zytherian capital, a small gathering of elite scientists and officials murmurs among themselves, casting sidelong glances at the human standing at the center of the room. Captain Liana Drake, a veteran explorer from the Galactic Explorer Corps, stands with her arms crossed, exuding a quiet confidence. Her eyes scan the room, sharp and fearless, and her posture is steady, as though the weight of the stairs doesn't faze her. The council leader, HFY Tales, clears his throat. Captain Drake, he begins, his tone polite but wary, we have reviewed your request to enter the lethal zone. Unprotected. A ripple of uneasy laughter and muffled gasps runs through the audience. The idea is absurd, a reckless and unimaginable feat. The lethal zone has claimed countless lives and continues to challenge even the most advanced Zytherian technology. But Liana Drake isn't laughing. I'm well aware of the risks, she replies calmly, her gaze unflinching. I come from Earth, a planet that's been classified as a deathworld by most standards. Our jungles, deserts, and oceans are filled with dangers too. I've spent my life navigating places where nature doesn't just test you, it tries to kill you. That's why I'm here. I want to see what this lethal zone has to offer, on my own terms. This statement sends murmurs echoing through the chamber. The Zytherians can hardly fathom anyone willingly entering the zone without protective suits, shields, and advanced weaponry. They've spent centuries perfecting technology to insulate themselves from danger. Entering without it seems both barbaric and foolish. At this moment, Thrixius, a senior Zytherian scientist who's long been fascinated by human resilience, steps forward. Captain Drake, he says, his voice containing both awe and curiosity, for us, survival has become a calculation, a precise science. But it seems you see it as instinct. I would be very interested to observe how you manage in this hostile terrain. The other council members look at him in horror, some shocked that he would even entertain the idea of allowing this experiment. But Thrixius is undeterred. He argues that this is an unprecedented opportunity to understand a Deathworlder's adaptability, perhaps the only chance to truly see what makes humans so resilient. After a lengthy debate and more than a few reluctant nods, the council grants permission, but only with the strict condition that Drake be monitored by a team of Zytherian scientists at all times. Drake smirks and nods in appreciation. Fine by me, she says. Just don't expect me to use the suits. As she leaves the chamber, Zytherian officials exchange worried glances, convinced that the human is either incredibly brave or hopelessly foolish. But Thrixius's gaze follows her, filled with a glimmer of excitement. For the first time, he feels they might witness the strength of a Deathworlder firsthand. As Captain Liana Drake steps beyond the boundary of the lethal zone, the Zytherian monitoring team sits in a high-tech observation room, their eyes glued to the screens displaying her every movement. Drones hover above, tracking her progress, while data streams through the control consoles, capturing every environmental detail and her vital signs. To the Zytherians, she looks absurdly vulnerable, with only basic gear and her simple, breathable clothing. At first, the jungle is still, but the calm is deceiving. The air is thick and humid, and toxic spores drift lazily on the breeze. Strange alien foliage with serrated leaves and thorny vines blocks her path, but Drake moves through it with ease, slicing away branches and carefully sidestepping patches of hostile vegetation. It's like the Amazon, she murmurs into her headset, comparing the oppressive heat and dense plant life to one of Earth's most unforgiving environments. The scientists exchange glances. They know of Earth's jungles, but the comparison still unsettles them. Her journey soon brings her face to face with Viridian's infamous wildlife. A creature resembling a massive, six-legged reptilian predator emerges from the underbrush, fixing its many eyes on her, its teeth gleaming like polished knives. The Zytherian scientists freeze, assuming she will activate a distress beacon. Instead, Drake lowers her posture, avoiding direct eye contact, and slowly backs away without making a sound. The creature seems puzzled but, sensing no threat, eventually loses interest and slinks back into the foliage. In the control room, jaws drop in astonishment. No Zytherian has ever come that close to one of these predators without heavy armor, let alone left unscathed. As Drake pushes forward, the terrain grows more challenging. Slopes become steeper, and slippery ground threatens her balance, but she doesn't hesitate. She assesses each obstacle, drawing on her extensive knowledge of Earth's harshest environments. At one point, she scales a rocky cliffside using improvised footholds, her muscles straining against gravity and slick stone, her every movement efficient and controlled. To her, this feels similar to climbing in Earth's mountainous regions, where balance and focus mean the difference between life and death. Drake even pauses occasionally to examine the bizarre plants and animals, jotting down notes on her findings. The Zytherian scientists are baffled. How can she be calm enough to observe in such a hostile environment? Thrixius is fascinated, pointing out that human survival seems not only rooted in physical resilience but also in curiosity and adaptability, traits he rarely sees in his own species when faced with genuine danger. The Zytherians watch her in a mixture of awe and disbelief. For them, survival has always been a matter of equipment, shields, and suits. But Drake is moving through the lethal zone as if it's her natural habitat, adapting to each new hazard with a calm focus they've never seen. Her steady progress and unconventional techniques start to reveal the depth of human resilience, shaking the Zytherians' confidence in their own technological superiority. By the end of the day, Drake finds a small clearing where she sets up a simple, temporary shelter. She rests beneath the alien stars, surrounded by a deadly wilderness, while her observers remain transfixed, unable to look away. To them, her journey has already become a legend, a testament to the unique tenacity of a species forged on a world just as lethal as Viridian's most feared wilderness. Back in the observation room, the Zytherian scientists sit in stunned silence as they monitor Captain Drake's progress. Her calm demeanor in the face of overwhelming danger is nothing short of baffling. The vast majority of the team had expected her to falter, perhaps even call for a rescue within the first few hours. Instead, she moves through the lethal zone with a confidence that no one had anticipated, her steps deliberate and measured. It's as though she belongs here, in a way that no Zytherian could. Thrixius, the scientist who had championed her challenge, is riveted by the display. His eyes are wide with disbelief and admiration. Incredible, he whispers under his breath, his fingers dancing across the controls as he zooms in on Drake's every action. He had read the human survival reports, but seeing it in person is something else entirely. She doesn't just endure the environment, she navigates it, as if it were just another part of her everyday existence. Across the room, other scientists exchange uneasy glances. Is she cheating? One of them asks, half joking. The comment breaks the tension momentarily, but even he can't mask his awe. No one in the room can deny it, Drake is doing the impossible. Her interactions with the wildlife, her ability to assess and overcome obstacles, seem like something out of a survivalist myth. As the hours stretch on, more and more Zytherians begin to question their own assumptions about human fragility. The pride they had felt in their technological prowess begins to erode, replaced by a growing sense of respect and discomfort. How could such a primitive species possess this kind of resilience? How could a human endure what would break even their most advanced machines? Thrixius, who had always seen the potential in humans, is now more convinced than ever that Earth's inhabitants are something entirely different. He has spent his life studying alien lifeforms and ecosystems, but humanity's ability to thrive in such adversity is something his people have never encountered. It's not just survival, Thrixius says quietly to his colleagues. It's ingenuity. It's a force of will. Even some of the skeptics among the Zytherians are beginning to feel the weight of her unyielding spirit. They had been convinced that her endeavor would fail, that the lethal environment would prove humanity's limitations. But with every passing minute, Liana Drake disproves their expectations, not by technology or weapons, but by the simple, primal will to keep moving forward. The Zytherians, so accustomed to depending on their technology to shield them from risk, begin to shift in their perspectives. If humans can survive and even thrive without the need for advanced environmental suits, could their way of thinking be a valuable lesson? For the first time, the idea that maybe humans aren't just survivors, but truly remarkable beings, begins to take root in their minds. As Captain Drake presses deeper into the lethal zone, the skies above begin to darken ominously. The temperature drops, and a sudden gust of wind sweeps through the dense jungle, snapping branches and sending a chill through the air. The Zytherians, watching from the observation room, exchange nervous glances. They've seen storms in this region before, ferocious, unpredictable, and capable of sweeping away anything in their path. This one looks particularly violent. Is she aware of the incoming storm? One of the Zytherian officers asks, a hint of panic in his voice. She's aware, Thrixius replies, his tone unusually tense. His eyes flicker to the readings on his console. But she doesn't appear to be concerned. The wind picks up speed, howling through the trees as dark clouds swirl overhead. In a matter of minutes, the jungle erupts into chaos. Thunder cracks, loud enough to shake the ground, and torrents of rain begin to pour down in sheets. The terrain turns treacherous, and the rivers begin to swell. On the ground, Liana Drake doesn't flinch. She's already calculating her next move, scanning her surroundings. The storm is coming fast, but it's not the first time she's faced such a threat. She's been in worse on Earth. With her training, she quickly identifies a nearby cliffside that offers higher ground, an instinct she honed during countless survival missions on her home planet. The Zytherians are watching in real time as the floodwaters surge through the jungle, threatening to overwhelm everything in their path. She's going to be swept away. One of the scientists exclaims in disbelief. This is it. She has to call for help now. But Drake doesn't flinch. She moves with precision, her movements fluid and calm as she races toward the rocky ledge, climbing up with ease, even as the floodwaters roar below her. The terrain is slick with rain, and the rocks are treacherous, but she presses on, her focus absolute. She secures a small ledge and begins constructing a makeshift shelter from the materials around her: large leaves, fallen branches, and vines. To the Zytherians, it seems impossible. The storm is raging, the jungle is a relentless beast, and yet, Drake seems perfectly composed. This is remarkable, Thrixius mutters, a mixture of awe and concern in his voice. She's not panicking. She's surviving, adapting. She's using the storm to her advantage. As the storm intensifies, Drake speaks into her communicator, her voice calm despite the chaos around her. This isn't the first storm I've survived, she tells the Zytherians. Back on Earth, we've got hurricanes, floods, and earthquakes that leave entire cities in ruins. We've learned to weather those, to survive. It's about understanding the rhythm of nature, reading the signs, and knowing when to act. The Zytherians, despite their advanced technology, are utterly transfixed. They've watched countless survivalists in their own species use their sophisticated suits to survive harsh environments, but none have ever done it with the level of poise and self-reliance that Captain Drake exhibits. The storm rages on, but Drake is unshaken. By the time it passes, she's secured her shelter and has gathered enough resources to wait it out. The floodwaters recede, and the sky begins to clear, revealing a landscape that seems unchanged by the chaos, but to the Zytherians, it is as if a miracle has taken place. The storm has passed, and the lethal zone is eerily quiet. Captain Liana Drake, soaked to the bone but unharmed, begins the final leg of her journey back to the Zytherian outpost. Her steps are steady, though fatigue has set in after days of battling the elements, the treacherous terrain, and the relentless wildlife. Yet there is no hesitation in her movements. She's made it through, just as she said she would. As she approaches the outpost, a small crowd of Zytherian scientists, military officers, and curious onlookers have gathered, waiting anxiously. The air is thick with anticipation, the mood a mixture of disbelief, respect, and lingering skepticism. No one can quite comprehend how she survived the lethal zone without the safety of their advanced technology. When Drake steps into view, the crowd goes silent. She's covered in mud, her clothes torn, but her posture is triumphant. Her eyes are sharp, scanning her surroundings, as if she's just returned from a routine mission rather than the impossible one she's just completed. The Zytherian officers rush forward, their faces a mixture of relief and awe. Thrixius, who has been anxiously monitoring her progress, steps up beside her, visibly shaken but deeply impressed. You've done it, he says, almost in disbelief. You survived. Alone. Drake gives a wry smile, wiping the rain from her brow. It's what I do. Earth has taught me how to handle a few things. The Zytherian scientists are still processing the enormity of what they've just witnessed. A few are skeptical, whispering to each other, wondering if she's truly as unscathed as she appears or if she's been hiding some kind of hidden enhancement. But more and more, the respect in their eyes is undeniable. The Council had expected to prove the limits of human resilience, to see if Drake would fail, but instead, they've witnessed something they can't fully comprehend. The leader of the Council, HFY Tales, steps forward. His voice is steady but holds a hint of awe. Captain Drake, you've accomplished what no Zytherian has ever dared. You've shown us a different way of thinking about survival, one that doesn't rely on technology alone. Thrixius, still processing the significance of what they've just seen, looks at Drake with a new sense of admiration. Your people, they are truly something else. You've proven that there's more to survival than our suits and shields. It's your spirit, your adaptability. You have strength. Drake nods but doesn't boast. Survival isn't about what you wear or what tools you have, she says, her voice calm and resolute. It's about knowing how to adapt, how to think on your feet when everything's against you. It's something humans have had to do for millennia. As she walks past the group, the crowd parts, murmuring in awe. The Zytherians are still processing the fact that a primitive species like humanity could possess such raw resilience and cunning. Their perception of humans is shifting, no longer just a reckless, barbaric species from a dangerous world, but something much more formidable. Later that evening, in a quiet debriefing room, Thrixius and the council members gather with Drake. We would like to learn more, HFY Tales says, still humbled. Your knowledge of survival, of disaster management. We want to understand more about how your species adapts to the extreme. It's something we've never fully grasped before. Drake smiles faintly, her journey not just a personal triumph, but the beginning of a new relationship between their species. We'll have plenty to talk about, she replies. In the days that follow Captain Drake's successful return, the story of her survival spreads quickly through Zytherian society. It becomes more than just a tale of one human's resilience, it evolves into a symbol of something much larger. The Deathworlder from Earth is now seen in a new light, a testament to the strength and adaptability of humanity. Thrixius, once a curious scientist, has become an ambassador of sorts, tirelessly sharing his findings with others. His reports on the human species are filled with both awe and respect, each word carefully measured as he conveys the unimaginable feats of survival that humans routinely accomplish. Their resilience is not just physical, he writes. It is mental, a product of a species that has been shaped by extreme adversity and continues to thrive because of it. As the Zytherians begin to reconsider their understanding of survival, they start to look to humans not just as allies, but as teachers. Their civilization, built on technology and efficiency, had always assumed that technological superiority would overcome nature's harshest challenges. But the idea that a species could thrive in the wildest, most hostile environments without relying on technological crutches challenges everything they've ever known. Drake, once seen as a mere anomaly, is now regarded with a sense of reverence. Her journey through the lethal zone has sparked a philosophical shift among the Zytherians. There is no longer a need to dismiss humanity as primitive. Instead, they see a strength that transcends technology and unyielding will to survive, adapt, and conquer that they now realize is integral to human nature. In private moments, Drake reflects on the experience, her thoughts more introspective than before. She knows that her success wasn't just about outlasting the lethal zone, it was about showing the Zytherians something they never thought possible. Survival isn't about what you have, it's about what you can endure. The Zytherians, for their part, begin to integrate the lessons they've learned into their own thinking. They consult human experts on survival strategies, disaster management, and even exploring the most hostile environments. Drake becomes a bridge between two vastly different species, sharing insights on the human spirit of resilience and determination that they now realize is just as valuable as any technology. As the story of Captain Liana Drake spreads across the Helix system, the perception of humanity shifts dramatically. No longer are humans seen as a reckless, death-prone species. Instead, they are regarded with admiration and respect, their resilience now acknowledged as a force that commands reverence. The bonds between the Zytherians and humans grow stronger, founded not on technology, but on a mutual understanding of what it truly means to survive and thrive against all odds.